Once upon a time, in a small serene town, there lived a woman, a widow in her late 40s. Adaku was the proud mother of Amaka, her only child. Adaku's life had been filled with sorrow after the demise of her husband, so she found solace in her only daughter, Amaka, who became the center of her world. Amaka was everything a mother could wish for in a child. She was beautiful, intelligent, kind, and God fearing. Amaka had a radiant brown eyes that sparkled like the morning sun, a melodic laugh that could warm the coldest hearts. Also, a strong will that inspired both her mates and even adults who talked and related with her. As Amaka grew into a teenager, young men in the town could not ignore but admire her. Young women of her age envied her, while the older women adored her. So, as years passed, Amaka grew into a very beautiful young woman. So, suitors began to flood their home, hoping they could win her hand in marriage. This, Adak was not prepared for. Adak, being overcome by fear and selfishness, was not ready to let her daughter go. The thought of Amaka leaving her to start her own life and family felt like she was losing her husband all over again. It reminded her of her loneliness after the demise of her husband, how Amaka took over the place of her late husband. Amaka was not just a daughter, she was her friend, her companion, confidant, and her reason for living, the center of her world. They did everything together, went to everywhere together, their laughters and their pains. Adaku was not yet ready to release her daughter Amaka one night after a tiring day. They had just finished having their dinner and were preparing to retire for the day when Adaku decided to have a heart-to-heart talk with Amaka. She said to her, Amaka, my precious child, you know you are my only child, my strength and my world. Please, I want you to listen to your mother. You are too young to marry. All these suitors that are coming will have to wait. It's true you are done with your secondary school education, and due to financial constraints, I could not sponsor you through the university. But I want you to know that you still have your whole life ahead of you. Let's focus on saving up for your studies and the plans God has for you. Adaku said with concern in her eyes. For Amaka, this was not the first time she was hearing this. She knew her mother had this great attachment and bond with her. She knew it was not going to be easy for her mother to let her go. This has been a regular talk in their home, and Amaka, being respectful and obedient, only nodded. She loved her mother so much, even though she was already thinking of marriage, as she has been in the house for some years now. Most of her mates were now in the university, so since she could not further her education, she thought it wise to get married and start up a family. As years passed, Amaka's beauty and grace continued to attract admirers, and her mother could still not afford to send her to the university. Her earnings from the sale of her vegetable and fruits in a small stall in the town market was not enough to sustain them, talk more of saving enough for her university education. That year, she just turned 21 when Ugochukwu, a kind and hardworking young man from Onitsha, came to their home. He was the type of man any mother would pray for. He was rich, respectful, and deeply in love with Amaka. So that evening, after Ugochukwu left their house with his uncle that came to see her mother, Amaka and Adaku sat on the sofa, just looking at each other. Adaku was overwhelmed with the fear of her daughter leaving her. She looked sad, and after some silence, Adaku broke the silence. Amaka, what do you have to say about Ugochukwu's intention for you? Mama, I want to marry him, Amaka said, her voice steady. He loves me and I love him too. I know I will be happy with him, Amaka said, forcing a smile. Adaku's heart raced. The words pierced her heart. The thought of Amaka leaving her was unbearable. She knew this day would come, but not this quick, as Amaka had already grown into a woman. No, Amaka, she said firmly, her voice trembling. You are too young to understand the challenges of marriage. Stay with me a little longer, Amaka, so you can mature. You still have a lot to learn from me. You know marriage is for the matured, and you are still very young to walk this journey. It's not an easy journey. You still have a lot of time, Adaku said desperately. Mama, Amaka pleaded, I will always love you. You know the truth still remains that I can't stay here with you forever. Since I have not been able to further my education, please let me get married to Guchuku. Remember, he had promised to send me to the university once we get married. The last time he visited our house, I showed him my WAEC result. He was very impressed. I made him promise me that he would send me to the university. He obliged. So, Mama, I will marry Ugochukwu. He is a good man, and he loves me and I love him too. You know nothing has changed between us. You are still my mother, and nobody is taking me away from you. Mama, stop wearing this sad look. I can see your fears. Don't forget that once I start having children, you will come for Mugo. I will also visit you regularly. After all, Onisha is quite a distance from our town. It's okay, my child. If that's what you want, no problem. Just that I'm going to miss you. I will be lonely again. And I just pray that this is going to be easy, just the way it seems. But deep down at Dako's heart, those words hit and haunted her. Little did Amaka know that those words really hurt her mother badly. That night, as Adako lay on her bed, she could not sleep. A lot of thoughts ran through her head. So the following days, Amaka was in high hopes, preparing for her wedding introduction. And on the morning, Ugochukwu and his people would be coming for Amaka's introduction. Amaka, before that morning, had made her hair, made a beautiful outfit for herself, and was so happy and hopeful that finally she would be starting her new life with Ugochukwu, her charming prince. But little did Amaka know that she was in for the shock of her life. She was about to start a new phase of her life. That morning, Amaka woke up screaming, Mama, Mama, I can't see. Everything is dark. Adako quickly rushed to her side, looking shocked. Amaka, what is it? Just calm down, stop crying. Let me understand what you are saying. Did anything enter your eyes? Dako asked. She held Amaka's hand. Mama, I just woke up and cannot open my eyes again. Mama, everywhere is dark. Ah, Dako exclaimed in confusion. Amaka continued to scream, weeping bitterly. Mama, I cannot see again, no. What is all this now? How can this be happening to my daughter? Today of all days, that Ugochukwu is coming with his kinsmen. My enemies will not succeed. They will not laugh over me, oh, Adaku screamed. As she ran in confusion outside and ran back inside the house, Adaku held Amaka by the hand and said to her, My child, don't worry. I will find help. So Adaku ran out. Later that morning, Adaku took Amaka to the hospital and several lab tests were run, and the cause of Amaka's blindness could not be ascertained. Doctors looked confused. There was no medical cause of her blindness. All they said to her was to take her home, that this could be a spiritual problem. Amaka was devastated. Her world just came crumbling. She could not believe that she just went blind. Just like that. It's okay, Amaka. I promise to stand by you through this period. I love you, and I'm here with you. We shall see to the end of this, Ugochukwu said assuringly. As he held Amaka's hands, Amaka was weeping. She looked so sad and lost. As Ugochukwu looked at Amaka, he was heartbroken. Amaka's situation badly affected him. He was confused and could not understand why such could befall his Amaka. After some days that Ugochukwu constantly visited Amaka, during one of his visits, Adako warned him to stop coming to see Amaka. You are bad luck to my child. She was fine until you came into our lives. You are bad omen. I don't want to see you near my daughter again, Adako said sternly. These words pierced Ugochukwu's heart. He was pained that Adako could use such mean words on him. After all, he was Amaka's fiancé. He was doing what he was supposed to do. He loved Amaka and was there to help. So after some time, due to Adaku's hostility and harsh words, Ugochukwu gave up and stopped visiting Amaka, then traveled back to Onitsha. Amaka was devastated with the sad news that Ugochukwu had finally left her back to Onitsha. As Amaka wept, Adaku said to her, "My child, stop crying over spilled milk. I told you that that boy is bad luck. Can't you see we are fine until he came into our lives? Thank God you're even still alive. You will be fine, my child." "Mama, I'm not fine at all. Who is going to marry me in this condition? Oh God, why is everything happening at the same time? What is my sin? Why will Ugochukwu leave me at this moment, this phase of my life that I need him the most?" Amaka lamented. Days turned into weeks, then months, and then years, and despite countless visits to doctors and pastors, and even herbalists, Amaka remained blind. Her dreams of marriage, her ambitions, and independence faded. It was replaced by endless days of dependence on her mother and loneliness and despair. But one thing remained constant for Amaka. She leaned heavily on God. Her faith, she prayed daily for a miracle. Amaka did not allow her situation define her as she tried to do some chores in the house, find her way around the house without her mother's help. She craved to have her former life back. "Mama," Amaka said one evening after Adako returned from the market, as they sat in their small living room. "Mama, I don't understand why God has allowed this to happen. I believe and I trust Him, that He is here with me. I know He loves me, and I know that one day He will restore my sight." Those words pierced Adaku's heart like a dagger. She felt so sorry for Amaka, but she couldn't help her. Her beloved child Amaka, whom she loved deeply, she was everything to her. And every time Amaka's melodious voice would be heard from her room, she did this to distract herself from her current reality. She took solace in singing praises to God. The women would whisper in low tone whenever they saw Amaka and Adako. Felt so sorry for Amaka and Adako. Felt pity for Amaka. Life is so unfair. What was this girl's sin? She just suddenly woke up blind. On the day of her wedding introduction, they muttered quietly. However, when Amaka turned 29, the town hosted a massive crusade led by Pastor Godswill, a renowned man of God. The entire town was abuzz with excitement as they have heard how God have been using him massively to deliver and also heal the sick. And Amaka insisted on attending the crusade. She was hopeful that God was going to visit her at the crusade. "Mama, please take me there," she begged. "I believe God will heal me. I hear this man of God is a true man of God with great powers from God," she said in high hope. "Amaka, no problem. If I come back early from the market, I will take you there," Adaku said, unbothered, as she continued tying the vegetables she was taking to the market. So the next day, Adaku was preparing to leave for the market that morning. Amaka came to her. "I want you to take me to the crusade. I believe God is going to visit me there." Adaku hesitated. "Amaka, can you count how many times we have visited several churches for your healing? How do you think this man is different?" Adaku scoffed, looking defiant. "Mama, it will take us nothing to go to the venue of the crusade. Is the gate fee not free? Just do this for me, please, Mama." Amaka pleaded with Adaku. "It's fine, no, Amaka, I've heard. If you insist, we will go tomorrow." "No, Mama, I heard it's a 2 days program, and today is the last day of the crusade," Amaka said hastily. So that evening, when Adaku returned from the market, she assisted Amaka to the crusade venue. The crusade was held in an open field, with hundreds of people gathered. And as Pastor Godswill preached, his words seemed to cut through the crowd like a sword. And after some time, he stopped preaching. His face was stern. He thundered in anger. "There is someone here who has hidden a terrible secret. God is giving you this one last chance to confess and seek for forgiveness, or else you will die now. You cannot hide it from God. Why can you be so cruel to your own?" As his voice echoed, Adaku's body froze. Her hands trembled as she clutched Amaka's arm. "Mama, are you okay?" Amaka asked, sensing her mother's unease. Adaku's heart was pounding fast. She knew she was at the wrong place. The secret would be out if she did not leave that place immediately. And as she made effort to leave with Amaka, who wondered why they were leaving without the pastor's prayers. "Amaka, are you going with me or not?" I will leave you here, Adaku said. Adaku's eyebrows furrowed, and as she was about to take another step, Pastor Godswill shouted and pointed directly at her. You woman in the red wrapper, God is speaking to you. The crowd turned to look at her, and it was Adaku. Everybody was shocked. They recognized Adaku and Amaka. They knew her story. Adaku burst into tears, falling to her knees. It was me, she cried. I blinded my daughter. I did not want her to leave me. I was afraid that if she got married, she would not have time for me. I have lost my husband many years ago, and I cannot lose my child to a man, all in the name of marriage. So I poisoned her water with the potion I collected from a herbalist. What? The people screamed. Gasp rippled through the crowd. Amaka's face sneered as tears streamed down her cheek. Mama, you did what? How could you, Mama? Mama, you mean you made me be in this condition for good 8 years just because you don't want me to get married and leave you? Please, my child. I was afraid, Adaku sobbed. I was afraid of losing you. Please, Amaka, forgive me. I cannot survive without you by my side. You are everything to me. So Pastor Godswill stepped forward and said to Adaku, Sister, God's mercy is greater than your sin, but you must seek forgiveness from your daughter and from God. You are selfish and wicked. How could you do this evil to your child? And you are here with her for healing. And I know this has been what you have been doing for some time now, taking her around for help. But you are the one that made her in this condition. You are the enemy. The whole congregation were still in shock and gasped as they have known about Amaka, how she suddenly woke up blind on the morning of her wedding introduction. Adaku was weeping. Fear filled her heart. She was ashamed of herself that finally her secret was out. She covered her face in shame. She continued to weep. Pastor Godswill placed his hand on Amaka's head and prayed fervently, Lord, please restore her sight. Let every spell be broken and let her be free. And the whole congregation chorused Amen, which echoed all over the large field. And as the prayer ended, Amaka gradually opened her eyes to the amazement of everyone. And for the first time in 8 years, she could see the light. I can see, she screamed as she wept, looking at her mother with a mixture of joy and pain. The congregation roared joyfully for Amaka's healing, her deliverance. Her sight have been restored. They were all in awe and marveled at the wickedness of a mother to her own child. The news spread like wildfire all over the town, and for weeks, Adako could not go to the market. She could not handle the shame, the mean words that the people would say to her. The days that followed, Adako spent seeking forgiveness from God and Amaka, who was deeply hurt and betrayed. Amaka's heart was broken. She could not believe that her mother could go this far. So after some weeks, Amaka chose to forgive her mother. She said to herself, love does not hold grudges. Mama, I cannot reject you. It's true that you hurt me. I'm still in shock. I do not understand. What made you do this to me? But I forgive you, and I hold no grudges against you. However, a year later, Ugochukwu returned back to Amaka. They reconciled. Ugochukwu told her how he had been waiting for her, praying and hoping that a miracle would happen. Amaka and Ugochukwu's wedding was a celebration of love and faith. Adaku stood by her daughter's side, smiling. She forgave herself and decided to move on with her life. She knew she had allowed her ignorance to derail her, to make the wrong choices. She learned her lesson the hard way. She decided to face the reality that Amaka, her daughter, deserved to be happy and start her own life and family. With Amaka and Ugochukwu promises to her, she knew she still have Amaka and now a son in Ugochukwu. However, a few years later, Amaka had children for Ugochukwu. She was also able to further her university education, and she graduated as an accountant, as this has always been her dream since childhood. Adaku was happy and proud when she held her first grandchild. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She now did not only have Amaka, she had Ugochukwu and also her grandchildren around her. She thanked God for giving her another chance. Amaka and Ugochukwu lived happily ever after, learning to love each other unconditionally. Thank you so much for watching this story. I appreciate you all. I know we have a lot of lessons to learn from this story. I'll just ask, do you think about Adaku's decision? Did you think she went too far? Let's share our thoughts in the comment section. Give this story a thumbs up. Also share with your loved ones and friends. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And until I come again with another beautiful story, stay blessed and bye.